Hello there, folks, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joe, and this is my Talking Head series. And today, I really wanted to talk about goals and celebrating your achievements once you hit your goals. I think that it's something that I have always struggled with personally. In my last episode, I talked about, part of self-esteem building is being able to celebrate, actually celebrate uh, when you make your goals, um, and not really worrying about what other people are doing when you meet your goals. And so that's kind of one of the things that I'd like to dive a little bit deeper into. So this is going to be more of an extension on the last episode. Now, that did come out 2 weeks ago, and I apologize for taking a week off. Honestly, I couldn't really think of what to talk about last week. Uh, I had a few, and I still have a few things that I want to talk about, but it's whether or not I feel passionate about it or have a lot to say in the moment. And right now, I just happen to have a lot to say about goal setting, meeting your goals, and all that. And we're going to start from, short-term goals to long-term goals. Now, I am a person who has mostly lived as a pretty free spirit throughout most of my life. I have never cared about what tomorrow is going to bring. Now, in that, I've also never been the person who's like, "Oh, I'm just going to go do stupid shit." Yeah, I don't need to live tomorrow. I've never been the person who's been that way. I've always done, and don't get me wrong, I do want to. I've always wanted to plan for the future, but I've never set goals. So for example, my plan outside of or right out of high school was I am going to uh, get a good job, get a wife, get a house, have a bunch of kids, like the American dream. Well, the American dream that you are served if you grow up in a very conservative, state, town, family, the conservative American dream, and there's nothing wrong with that. I have a few friends who actually were able to pull that off, and they're doing absolutely fantastic for themselves, and I could not be happier for them. But I am glad that my life did not lead me down that road. Now, not going down that road has caused me a lot of issues and a lot of pain. And it's only in the past couple of years that I've realized that the reason I never went down that road is because I never put anything in front of me to reach for. I was just like, I want it to happen. Well, that's not a goal. You're just trying to will it into. I was just trying to will it into existence. I wasn't setting it as a goal to work toward. I just wanted it to appear in my hands. And when it didn't, I got depressed. I would get sad about it. I would get angry about it. I would uh, um, meet someone new, realize, oh, I really like this person. I really want her to. And then but I wouldn't do anything with it. I wouldn't. So it's kind of an interesting bag, honestly. So like goals, and then again, celebrating your achievements. So uh, one of my goals for today, for example, I guess maybe that's where we'll take this next is how short of term goals do you really need? Um, that's up to you. Now, me personally, I have a goal today to actually get out. I say get out. I don't actually physically have time to get to the gym today, but I need to start exercising daily. Which means, once this video turns off, I'm gonna go to my go to my living room floor, and I am going to do some weightless exercises, which are going to be things like squats, plank, some form of crunches, some side muscle stuff. So a lot of core basically. and you don't really need any kind of heavy weights for that. But then tomorrow morning before I go into work, I need to make sure that I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning so I can get myself to the gym, get exercised, showered, and ready to get to work. So that's kind of, that's a short term goal. And that's probably my biggest short term goal. Now, you could say that my next goal would be to get my chores done for the day. But let's be real, chores aren't goals, chores just should happen. And eventually, what I want my goal of of exercising every day to become a chore. It's not a goal, it's something that just happens. And then the goal shifts from going to the gym every day or working out every day to I have a goal of either losing weight or losing inches, because if you guys know anything about physiology, muscle weighs more than fat. And as you so you can be exercising successfully, turning your fat into muscle and losing inches but never lose weight. So it depends on what your actual goal is. Now, I'm the kind of person, I want to do weight training, so I'm planning on losing inches, not weight. So that's going to be a big difference too. Is So I mean that kind of lays out my short-term goals. So where eventually do I actually want this to lead? Like, what are my midterm goals? Well, my midterm goals would actually involve more of the monetary side of my life. So there are developments that have changed. There are things that have changed in my personal life, in my professional life, that I'm not necessarily allowed to talk about yet because of certain nuances around my job. But the reality is, those nuances are basically null and void. And so basically, I have been promoted to a managership at my job. And now the reason that I'm not allowed to really talk about it is there's somebody else who was hired specifically for the manager role, but they're waiting on they were very honest up front and said that they are waiting on an opportunity with another company to get into a better paying position at another company. So now they are working for us just as an hourly employee and not as a manager. And it's just a weird thing. So I'm not technically supposed to be talking about it, but you know what? This is part of the celebrate your achievements. I finally made a fucking manager. Like, and it's a big pay bump. I mean, it's obviously it's going to be the most money I've ever made in my life. And so I do have to I haven't gotten my first manager check yet. So I do have to stop and think about, or stop and actually see what the check is going to be, and then start throwing that into my budget. And there's a lot of back and forth. Normally I'd be able to figure out what my check is going to be just based off of, what it, because of the changes in tax codes and all that stuff, it has changed. I used to have everything memorized. I used to be able to figure out exactly what my paycheck was going to be down to the penny. And I've been struggling with it ever since they changed the tax code. So, it is what it is. I mean, it kind of sucks, but so when it comes down to my midterm goals as of right now, those are kind of on hiatus. Mostly because I just need to know how much money I'm going to be making. Now, I would say that a midterm goal that I do have, so I am backtracking a little bit, I do apologize, but I want to go camping and fishing this year. That's my big goal. Now, for those of you who don't know, I work at a restaurant, which means that getting a week off of work is kind of tough. So hopefully we are working on getting some stable some stable, able bodies into the restaurant right now. And hopefully we'll be able to get stable enough to where the managers and the employees can, say like, hey, I need 5 days off. And we'll be like, all right, cool. No problem. We've got everything covered. That is kind of the hopeful thing. So again, once we get all that ironed out, then mid-range goals will be much easier to look at and iron out. So that's kind of a fun thing that's coming down the line. But for long-term goals, I plan on, if not the end, so I just signed my new lease at this house, even with the bad neighbors. Unfortunately, the way that rents are rising right now is just, it's too much to, you basically have to make 3 times your rent in order to get into a place. So your monthly income must be 3 times higher than the rent, and rents are rising at a pace that's outpacing the current work market. So I actually had a conversation with a landlord that was going to be $300 less per month. So it would have been a significant cut over the year. But because I was $200 a month short of making their 3 times requirement, they wouldn't even send me any information on the house. They were not interested at all in even dealing with me because I didn't make 3 times the amount of their 3 times the amount of their rent. And it did not matter. And because I specifically asked, I was like, hey, so I basically live a debt-free lifestyle. I don't have car payments. I don't, I don't have payments. So I basically live a debt-free lifestyle. Now, I will go full disclosure here. I do have some credit cards that I keep open, and I will occasionally put a big purchase on them, and then I pay it off in rapid succession so I can build my credit limit. So I can build my credit score and build credit limits on my cards, which in turn raises your credit score. Is it dumb? Absolutely, but that's the credit market. And that also goes into my long-term goals of getting my credit score high enough that when I'm able to save up enough money to go out and buy a house, I have the credit score, I have all of that stuff is ready to go, and I buy a house, and then I will never need credit again. So, but the fact that I basically live a debt-free lifestyle, and I don't have extra payments, I literally pay my house, my insurance, and all of the bills associated with living, and they just didn't care. They have the exact response that I got was, I'm sorry, but we can't look at the personal lives of everybody that we rent to. And of course, my smart ass responded with, why wouldn't you? What is wrong with you? You should always look at that, because that's when it's gonna, like, you could have a doctor who makes $150,000 a year and is $1.5 million in debt because they decided that they needed a $700,000 house and two $200,000 cars, and but it doesn't matter, because people aren't, people look at that income and they don't look at the external factors. And I think that's, that's the ultimate downfall with rent and all of that right now. And so we're going to have a whole lot of issues with people being stuck in leases that they can't afford, just like people get stuck in houses they can't afford during a recession. So it's going to be interesting. So I got off topic again. I apologize. So my goal is to eventually, or is to hopefully get to a point where, um, by next year, I can put a down payment onto a house and actually start purchasing a house. Now, I know this isn't the market to buy in. Believe me, I know this isn't the market to buy in, but this also isn't the market to rent in. Um, it's one of those you're damned if you do or you're damned if you don't. So it's a really bad situation all the way around. Um, and so it is just kind of one of those things that, and if I can't find a place to buy, if I can't afford a place to buy by next year, then the reality I have to look at is, do I sign another lease here, or who knows, maybe I find maybe I get a girlfriend by then and we decide to move in together, or something along those lines, which, again, that's all down the road. Who knows? We're a year away from that anyway. Um, but that would be more of a long-term goal, is 1 year from now. Try to get into a house. Try to get into buying a house. And then let's talk about the 5-year plan, a 5-year goal. My 5-year goal would probably, at this point in time, I think my 5-year goal would be to probably have moved on to, well, definitely own a house within 5 years. Definitely start the process of buying a house within 5 years. Maybe upgrade my car by then. We'll see. We'll see how long this one lasts. It is starting to have the transmission starting to whine a little bit now too, on top of the suspension problem. So, but I mean, aside from that, if it's like a $1,200 fix, then it's a $1,200 fix. I'm not gonna buy a car right now for $1,200. So I might upgrade my car by the next 5 years, maybe. We'll see. But I definitely plan on being in a house that I own, or am in the process of buying. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the biggest one. I mean, when it comes down to work, I'm currently working for one of my best friends in the world. So as long as I can get in and do my thing and make him money, which is, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. For those of you who don't know me, I'm really good at making other people money. Sometimes it takes a while for me to really get into the gear and actually start picking things up. But I'm really good at getting people in the door and, you know, being able to support people, to support coworkers, to, you know, being better at sales, and that, being more motivated at work. That's kind of one of my biggest things, is being able to motivate people. And so yeah, that's kind of my goal. That's a long-term goal for me. It would be to get to a point where I can help my friend enough to where both of us make more money. And that is the ultimate goal. If you're going to work and your goal is not to make more money for your bosses, then you're going to work for the wrong reasons. If you are the owner of a company and you are the person at the top, then whatever your goals are your goals. Some people run companies just because it's fun. Some people run companies because it makes them a ton of money. Some people run companies because they really want to spite another company, whether they're making money or losing money. It's pretty great. But if you work for somebody, if you're in a role where your work affects the overall outcome, and your mentality is not, the better I do, the better the company does, which means the better I do, then you do have the wrong mentality when it comes down to work. Now, that being stated, if you are working hard for a company who does not reciprocate uh, what you do for that company, then leave. There are companies out there that are willing to compensate you better. The more value you bring to a company, the more the company should value you. Um, it's actually a really big reason that I left my last job. Is I loved the job, and I loved everything. I loved most of the things about the job, but the management did not find value in what I did. And last I heard, they have ever once I left, they realized that they, again, this is rumors and scuttlebutt. However, I was basically told that they realized they couldn't get anybody to fill my position for the price that I was already doing it at. And then they basically broke the job up between like 6 or 7 other employees who happened to work or who are still working there. And it's my understanding that they have not even posted my position yet. So I had my suspicion that they were just going to dissolve the position anyway. So it was kind of one of those things that writing was on the wall. It was time to leave, and it was pretty satisfying to stick it to them when I did. So it was good. It was good, and I'm in a much better place, and I've already been promoted. So honestly, that's kind of the big thing that I really wanted to talk about is setting your goals, actually setting goals. So when I went into this new job, I was like, all right, my goal is to become a manager. That's my goal. Well, now I'm a manager, and I couldn't be happier. So it's really nice, and it's nice to be able to talk about it. So I still can't talk about it at work. If you guys, if you're one of my friends, if you guys do know me and you know where I work, please don't come in and start talking about me being promoted. Okay? Because technically, I'm still not supposed to talk about it, but god damn it, I deserve to fucking talk about it. I'm excited about it. It's fine. Like it's something that it does mean a lot to me. It sucks that I had to go work for my friend in order for it to happen. Especially after all of the jobs that have strung me on over the years. It's about time that it happens. So, and so this is part of celebrating your accomplishments through your goals. I'm really excited for what the future has to bring, and I hope that that you guys watching this are able to find your own successes. I hope that you're able to maybe set your own goals. If you're not setting goals, please, for the love of God, do it. It is a game changer. It's a massive game changer. So, that's pretty much all I've got today. So, thank you so much for letting me go, for letting me talk about this. Thank you for hanging out and hearing me out. And most of all, thank you for being here. It means a lot to me, and you mean a lot to me. So, I really do. I hope that you guys, are having a good time. Hope you guys are enjoying the videos, and I'll see you later. Deuces.